call the meeting to order.
Jenkins.
Here.
Arden.
Here.
Hahn.
Here.
McKinley. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So the first thing that we have on this evening's agenda is section 1, consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Call it.
Jenkins.
Yes.
Arden.
Yes.
Hahn.
Yes.
McKinley. Pearl.
Yes.
Motion carried.
There being no unfinished business, we move to section 3, new business.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2014-31, $500 donation to the Farm City Garden Club.
I'll second. Discussion.
Is that tourism?
Annual donation that we make and keep the planters going down on Main Street.
Yeah, they got the rose trellis out there, looks nice.
What can we look for next year, getting something around the welcome to Farm City signs? Is there anything we can do or they can possibly do maybe next year? Or
The one that's out there on IDOT right away, you cannot put anything around it. The one out here is on private property and we can landscape around it.
okay. This is no first something we might be able to do. So.
And out here too, that'd be nice.
Call it.
Arden.
Yes.
Hahn.
Yes.
McKinley.
Yes.
Pearl.
Yes.
Jenkins.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We move to section 4, city manager's report.
I got a couple things I've been working on. First of all, I wanted to let everybody know before I got by me that Wednesday out at the light plant at noon, there'll be a luncheon for Wally Miller. Wally will be, have served here for 30 years. So anybody that has some time to come out and grab a bite and maybe thank Wally for his years of service with the city. Some things, again, I've been working on. I had told you earlier that I'd sent a letter to the CEO of ADM. And didn't really know if I'd get a response from that. And there's been a lot of complaints over the years about the condition of the 900 block and should be, I guess it's a continuation of 900 block on the south side, north side of the railroad tracks up there from the truck traffic tearing it up. You know that one part is that concrete slab and it's narrow. I think it measures approximately 18 feet, which is not wide enough for 2 semis or a semi and a car or whatever whenever they meet. And then the other part has been tore up because of the new scale house. The letter got a response. I had a meeting last week. I think Mac might have drove by and saw a bunch of us standing out there looking at the situation. ADM's proposal is that on the north side of the railroad tracks, they'll widen that concrete slab by at least 6 foot, make that at least a 25-foot pavement, put some drainage in there. The city may have to do the drainage part. As you know, water stands through there quite a bit. There's already been a cut across that concrete, so we could dig that up, put a culvert across there, get that water to run down towards 150. On the south side of the tracks in that one block, that's an old brick street from years ago. Take the brick out and put in 9 inches of concrete in there. The city's portion would be we would install new curbing. There is a possibility. There's a big old tree there. I don't know if it's a mulberry or what it is. That may have to come out. So be a lot of expense to ADM, but they want to get it done. Weather being the weather, isn't working well for them. So don't know if it's going to end up being yet this fall or if it'll be in the spring. We have to cover ourselves and to make sure it's done correctly. I have a Farnsworth group working with us to make sure that everything's done to IDOT specs. So where they decide to hire a local contractor or where they let it out for bids, it will be done according to IDOT specs. So I think that will be a good deal for the community. South Park, you know, I told you that we're going to get a bathroom out there. This thing's really turning out to be a nightmare because that entire area is in floodplain. I had got hold of Farnsworth. They sent my son Rusty out there. They let him get some elevations. Found out that The area is 5 feet below floodplain. So therefore, if we were going to build a bathroom, keep in mind I'm about 5'4". The floor would be about right here. It would be kind of unhandy to have a wheelchair ramp and everything if we have to build it up that high. It appears that they may allow us to do is to fill up 2 feet, and then the construction of the bathroom would have to be open so the water could flow through it. There again, it has to be engineered. Everything for the permit has to be engineered, so I have Farnsworth working on that. They're going to get some topos out there, find out if that is actually the best spot to put it, and kind of go from there. They think that maybe they can work with DNR down in Springfield and kind of move this thing along. So we were hoping to get this thing actually built by now. If you went by the water tower, since I printed this up and put it in your packet, you'll see that the water tower was washed. It was really getting kind of nasty looking. Now it looks like a fresh paint job. That really turned out pretty good. The guy told Calvin that every 3 or 4 years you're going to have to wash it. Calvin said that it was about a year ago Mansfield's got washed, and if you look at it, the algae is growing right back on. It's just the type of water tower that it is. There's been a lot of discussion about limiting the amount of time when somebody comes in and wants to address the council. So if you had 20 people out here, if you didn't have a limitation on it, you could literally be here for hours on end. So there will be a resolution at the next council meeting, and putting this out there now because obviously this could stimulate some discussion on Facebook and everywhere else. You could be getting some phone calls. But there's going to be a resolution to limit the amount of time somebody comes in and they want to address the council. That'll be out there. Sandy has called around to several different communities. It seems like the average is 5 minutes, and they've done it through resolution. If it's resolution, it's documented, so it's not going to be, well, why did that person get 10 minutes and you only got 5, and where did you come up with this? The one other thing is the water main that goes from the water treatment plant, goes along I-74 back there through Bob Ashworth's fields and Sharon Steiger's fields, comes up along Richardson Street and dead ends. It's a 12-inch water main. The city has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to get this thing installed, and it's a dead end. The initial plan back in early 2000 was to get this thing to the water tower so we would have one big loop. So what I've done is I've got a hold of Farnsworth Group to see what it would take to get an additional 800 feet in there. We have some TIF money set aside for infrastructure, which has already been approved. So if we have enough to get that 12-inch water main extended down approximately to Walnut Street, so it ends somewhere around the old, where Mr. Gronow lived there on Richardson Street. There's a water valve out in the street, so if you drove and you saw that water valve and figured down, if you go down to Walnut, that's approximately how much we've put in there. But in doing so, it would allow us to tie into 2 4-inch water mains, so we would continue to add to the loop. So you'd have a better firefighting and better water flow down through there, get the water turned over. Because Mr. Matthews is always complaining about stale water, and that's because he is on a dead end. Other than that, we're still working on some ordinance violations. I got a email from Ken Beth, and through some of the legal proceedings that he's dealing with, we're moving a little bit faster on that. If you've seen any, been around town, there's been a little activity at 345 South John. I think that's because they got their letter mailed to them, so that was acknowledging that maybe if they went down there and did a little bit of activity, that we would leave them alone, but that's not the case. And oil and chip, there again, we haven't done any oil and chip. There was going to be a deadline of the 15th. I don't know if we're going to oil and chip this year. If we do not oil and chip this year, that's just an additional $50-some thousand that'll be in the program for next year. So you did approve a spray patch. They may still show up. It's hard to tell. We had advertised for the gutter pan up along the school. That was to be either concrete or hot mix asphalt. And today was the deadline at 2 o'clock, I believe. We didn't get any bids. So evidently there's nobody out there hungry, and so they get the bid on it. So that work may not get done this year either. That's all I have.
Any questions to the city manager in his report?
I have one question, just on the last point, and that's the gutter pan and everything, that's what we need to improve the drainage there by the crossing, right?
Swimming pool,
Okay.
where all the kids drive through there about 50 mile an hour and see how far
Right.
they can throw it. And
Yeah.
we had a
That's right.
citizen come in that one time and complained about the standing water up there. So we were gonna have that dug out and put a gutter pan in there, either concrete or hot asphalt, to get that water to go north towards that catch basin.
Yeah, okay,
But no bidders. They can rebid it, but, we're getting kind of late in the year for that too.
yeah, okay, thank you for the reminder there. Yeah, so with drainage, it's not exactly in your report, but with the, where the crosswalk is there for the school, drainage is poor, is there anything we can, I mean, we're not fixing that road this year, I know.
I was told by a guy once that you can't hook a catch basin into a catch basin. I don't know why you can't, but supposedly you cannot do that. Obviously that corner that you're talking about, there needs to be a catch basin there, and run it to one of the others. But
Sure.
to me, that's the easy fix. We have discussed it before. I don't know if it would get done this year.
Okay, yeah, we just, it's, when we get all this rain, it gets real bad, so.
Right.
And I know you guys know that, maybe you're out there too. so
Right.
if we can keep that on the agenda, we need to get that fixed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Non-agenda items and other business? Yes.
You talked to ADM on the Plum Street. Has anything, or have you guys just been concentrating on Plum Street, nothing about maybe the railroad tracks on John? Has any more of that been brought up?
Which one?
Whichever one. Whichever tracks on John. I know we talked to him about there a couple of years ago.
There's one track on John that they tell me that there's 5 feet of fall from John Street over to Main Street, and that there's an area where if they just have a car sitting there, the car will take off and move by itself. And so if they raised the tracks to meet the road, there would be just that much more on it. They say that they have trouble at times holding the cars back with their mover, because we did talk about the one right there by Buckwheat's house is low. The other one, the Canadian National, is actually a pretty nice track, but there's that one siding there, and I think that gets everybody's attention. But we did talk about that. If you wanted to raise it, they would have to go back so far, Pat, and it would be at our cost.
Okay, I didn't know if they would be, I know we're going to be doing a lot here, but I didn't know if they would be interested in helping out on that or not.
Yeah.
I don't know that they'd have to raise it, just smooth it out.
Well, the only way to smooth it out is to raise it. You're either going to have to cut the street back on both sides, so you're going to come down, go to the tracks, come back up to get to the Canadian National. But they did say that the grade over there is just, you can't see it by looking at it, but.
Don't think about it, roll on towards the lake beach, so. Okay.
Me. Holes in the street. There's one on Water Street, just there by the alley.
I said something the other day, they said that they put rock in it, they thought that the spray patch guy was gonna come, so that would be taken care of. Obviously, he hasn't been here and the hole is back. I drove through it over the weekend.
And there's others around town too. There's some on Washington Street, at least one, maybe two. And there's some, I can't think where else, but these are the ones I hit. And I'm getting tired of hitting them. Street light, I said something about street light down on Green Street and Market Street, and where it's in the Swartz property. I think we need to look at that, either touch base with him if he wants to set up a street light, but there needs to be something down there and on both those streets probably, because they're both pretty dark. The other thing for all of you and everybody in this room, I think we need to start really thinking about this park district thing, for the South Park and the parks we have here in town.
And I do have, I can forward it to you, because when you brought that up before, I did send an email to Ken Beth, so I can send that back to you if you want. I'll forward you that information.
That'd be fine.
Okay.
Other non-agenda items? Yes, please.
I have a few of them here. It was brought to my attention today, last meeting, I believe I brought up there were some branches and so forth down by Mimi, just east of Mimi there off John Street.
Right.
But there is a hole there between the sidewalk and the highway. It's like where the water leak was down there
Okay,
in the street, and it's washed out and it's going up underneath the sidewalk.
okay.
Can that be addressed to fix that? Just found out about today, and I found out somebody fell in it yesterday. They
We
fell on our stuff.
kind of brought that up last week, 'cause I know where it is, I run past it every day, so, I mean, it's
Okay.
right there on the sidewalk and it's sinking in. Is that what you're- Yeah,
Okay. But I just brought that up today.
I'll see if we can go put a barricade on it, but I mean, that'll be IDOT, so we'll get a hold of IDOT so they know about it.
Okay. All right. Fire hydrants, how we getting along on them?
Earlier in the year, we contacted Ted Reynolds to install 6 fire hydrants. Ted quoted us a price to do that, and it would be, it was supposed to be this year, of course the year's not over, and as his workload lightened up. That would allow 6 of them to be, which Calvin thought needed to be done, and then the guys could go out and they could install some when they got time. It hasn't happened yet, but that was the game plan. We contacted Jed because Calvin and them are pretty busy doing their own work.
Okay. I don't know if we can still get on that, or if we need to, I know it's been a bad year for everybody in construction with the rain, but I just know we need to get on that when we can.
And the water department has been very busy this year.
Western Avenue sewer, we gonna be doing any of that?
Probably not this year. Schoonover was in town about 2 weeks ago, and so it got a routine cleaning.
Okay. All right. And we can get this in the books to be fixed maybe next year?
Well, if the sewer fund looks a little bit better unless we can secure some type of a grant, yes.
Okay. Community service. It was brought to my attention, I know nothing about it, but community service is whenever young men and women get in trouble and they come up here and work and so forth. I was told that they're not allowed to work for the city, where they can paint curbs and paint lines for the parking streets. That's why I thought I would bring it up, because I understand we probably got several in town that could be done. I know there's a lot of yellow curbs that could be painted.
Well, community service, first of all, that has to be recommended from the judge and the probation department, and Chief sitting here, you can tell you the same thing. We don't seek them out. They have to be told, go to a nonprofit organization, the schools, the churches, or the city of Farmer City. We have somebody right now that's supposed to be doing community service work. I haven't seen them for a month, so I assume they'll probably come back when it gets closer to their deadline. They cannot operate power equipment. That's the limitation. So we cannot put them in a dangerous situation. Painting curbs, picking up trash, walking the highways, that kind of stuff, yes, they can do.
Okay.
Wash windows. We were going to have janitorial done here with some community service time. So.
Well, I heard they were doing some other stuff, and one of them wasn't doing nothing at all. I'm like, well, tell them to go back to jail. Where are you supposed to be?
We had Weedman Park, the concession stand and buildings were all painted with community service people. So.
Okay.
You do, if you get somebody that honestly cares and wants to pay their dues back to the community, you'll get good work. If there's somebody, sometimes you're just a babysitter, Pat. So you never know what you get.
That's all for me.
other non-agenda items?
Just a couple things. We were out there at the soccer games out of South Park the other day, and I don't know whose responsibility it is, but that baseball field with those tarps hanging looks pretty bad. So we need,
School put those up. I can call school and ask them to get them down.
yeah, it just doesn't look very good. And there's a lot of people out there at those soccer games. And this curve on 150 going towards Dewey's from Ucks, it's a bad spot there. And going, let me see, be going west, crossing 150, because you can't see to the left, and you can't see if you're turning left coming from Dewey's. And maybe we need to slow those semis down a little bit. So I was watching for one the other day.
You think it's bad now, you should have been around 30-some years ago when, before the interstate came in, how bad that was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And 130.
We like to write a few tickets, and There's a good spot,
I think it's only posted 35.
35. Yeah.
It is a bad spot, and always has been a bad spot. And especially when you're crossing going to the east, it's, you have to get your nose stuck out there, and you gotta, whether something's coming or not, you can't tell. I don't know what you do, if you cut the trees down, cut it back, so you can.
I don't know, I've
I
been,
mean,
you
that's,
know,
because then you're getting on the private property once you do
well, and
that.
IDOT gets involved in it, but we're just real lucky that something hadn't happened there, because, like I say, I was turning left to go home the other day, coming from Dewey's, and I was watching for something coming around that tree line, and I still, when I just started to turn, here he come, and he didn't miss me too far.
Talking to that property owner, I think he's gonna thin that out a little bit.
Well, and I'm not saying it's his fault, it's just a bad
Well,
spot.
it's
Blame him
I
anyway.
don't know if it was in a ditch or where.
Now, it's not IDOT's, it's his.
Oh, okay.
It really is a basement, it's nothing, there has been some wrecks there at that place in the past.
But
But
anyway,
that one at one time.
Sidewalks out in the new subdivision, we haven't heard any update here lately.
You know, I sent an email and haven't gotten any response.
Two.
The property owner,
that's what we've run into in the past,
and
so. That's-
keep trying.
Yeah, that's all you can do is try.
Keep digging at it.
Any other non-agenda items? Entertain a motion to adjourn,
So moved.
Second?
call it.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Nicolay,
Yes.
Pearl,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
motion carried.